All right, just so you know, we are now being recorded for posterity. Mel, grab your mic. Put that part facing you best.
Okay, hold on. She don't move.
Dog, I'm not gonna say nothing.
I will. Stop acting like you brand new.
I ain't never done
You know how to move that thing around.
Hey guys,
Yeah, right.
like this.
Yeah, really? I'm just.
I need a strong man to do something.
Whatever. Shut your ass up.
What's going on, y'all? It's Sean P.
And Mel.
And you are on the Social Drinkers Podcast. We have a couple of guests today, but one of them isn't really a guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
He's gonna be a new guest.
Oh,
new
yeah.
host.
I'm Kev Taylor, KT.
KT.
You seen me on the episode, right?
Radio.
Radio.
Yeah.
The shit we listen to.
The shit we listen to.
So you're going to see a lot more of him. And
Right.
we got
Mr. Parish
an actual
Murphy.
guest. Brother, can you introduce yourself?
Legend.
My name is Parish Murphy. How you guys doing, man?
Yeah. KTSU finest.
KTSU's. How about that? KTSU's finest.
KTSU
Yeah.
finest.
I had an opportunity to, to be very, to be an integral part of how hip hop has really blown up in this city.
Man.
You know, I was blessed to be a part of Kids Jam. Deetra Ward put me on Kids Jam. She was the program director.
Shout out to Deetra.
Absolutely,
Bless her
man.
heart.
Absolutely. And you know what? And it just like it infuriates me like when I hear somebody talk about the evolution of rap music and just hip hop here in this town and they don't mention Deetra Ward's name. It's like that annoys me.
That's truly
That annoys
a
me.
disrespect.
It's like, it's
that
like
is truly a disrespect.
yeah, it is because listen, man, I know people are a product of their environment, and if you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know.
But your ass need to know. You need to find out.
You got to
Yeah.
educate
And
yourself.
you have to
For
educate
real.
yourself because
Real
if you're
talk.
talking about how this culture developed here in this town, then your ass need to know.
They broke
You
a
need to
lot
do the
of
research.
records.
You
Got
know,
you. They
I don't want
broke a
deep
lot.
voice white boy, on YouTube talking about he talking about Project Pat and he talking about the screwed up stuff. It's like dog, I know where all that came from,
No,
bro.
you
Like,
gotta start from the beginning.
Yes,
You actually have to start from
Yes.
the beginning.
Yes.
So, got a lot of passion about that.
You got a little passion because you heard in
I
his
don't know.
voice,
Yeah,
right?
I know. It's just it's kind of like
heard it in his voice.
you get me started on that. I'm like, it's too much light in here.
Oh my gosh. No more.
I'm loving this already.
Yes.
How'd you get into it?
So, I graduated from St. Pius High School. I went to Catholic school.
So you really did go to, we was talking about
No,
it earlier. I
real
thought
talk.
you
I
were
went
just
to
talking
do.
shit.
Yes, I went to Catholic school. I got my ass whipped by nuns. But yes, I fight a nun.
They had the
man.
hill over there. They had a huge hill over there.
Absolutely.
That was
Pius is something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was I went to Texas Southern. I wanted to stay close, and so I went to Texas Southern, and it was the fall of '86, and then the spring of '87. I met this dude named Anthony Harris, who was a real DJ.
Anthony Harris.
His DJ name was Luscious Ice. and
Luscious
I'd
Ice.
never met a
Come
DJ
on, Ice.
before, and we became real good friends. And we started going by the radio station because he would talk about Kids Jam. We'd be on the phone.
Were you DJing at the time?
No,
or-
not at all. I was fresh out the box. I wasn't doing anything. And he was telling me, man, if they ever bring Kids Jam back, I want to be on it, man. And I was like, yeah, I remember Kids Jam, because I remember, listening to Lester
So
and
the
Wicked and
initial
all that.
Kids Jam started what year?
I don't know. It started, I heard it when I was in high school, my senior and junior year. So that was, my junior year would have been 85.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it was like maybe 85.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something
'cause
like
that-
that.
I think that's how we got introduced to
Yeah.
like Sucker MC and stuff like
Right.
that.
Oh yeah! Oh,
so,
absolutely,
yeah,
you did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And y'all gotta have Lester on one day, man, because
Lester Pace.
yeah,
Pace,
because
yeah.
he can tell you the whole thing. It started with him. Pam got him involved. They wanted to do at the time KTSU wanted some younger programming, and so what they did was she found Lester at Smiley and high school and brought him in, and he was playing Ray Parker Jr. and stuff like that, and he didn't want to play that.
Radio.
Not radio.
Radio,
Come on now.
Jack and Jill and all that. Yes,
Jack and Jill.
So
that used to be my jam.
he didn't want that, so he started playing, some of the rap music and stuff like that, and then it just turned into this phenomenon, man. They brought in Tammy McCall, who was phenomenal,
Oh,
by
man,
the way.
Tammy
Have you seen
McCall.
Tammy? Tammy's
my
ridiculous.
gosh.
So I'm
Tammy
not
is
aware
doing
of Tammy
amazing
She's got
right now.
she's got the Tammy Mack show.
Yes.
She's on she's actually on Fox. It's
Yes,
Fox.
Fox.
What is it? What is their branch called? They call it.
It's
It's like Fox Black.
Yeah.
Fox
Yeah.
Negroes or
But-
whatever it is. I don't
it's
know.
like-
no, but it's like a division of.
It's
Fox.
one of those channels
Yeah,
that
it's
Yes,
one of
lined
but
up.
Tammy has done amazing.
And then she does commercials. She's done some
Yeah.
hilarious commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she does her acting stuff as well.
Yeah.
So she does that, and then they had who else they have? Curtis D, who was Big Mello, and
Oh, wow.
who was probably one of the most talented people I've ever met in my
rest in
life.
peace, Big
Okay.
Mello.
I mean, let me tell you something.
Dang, Big
Curtis could
Mello,
rap.
man.
Curtis could beatbox. That was a thing. Curtis
Yeah.
could dance.
I
And
remember
oh my
Curtis.
God,
Oh
have
my
you ever heard
gosh.
Curtis sing?
I have remember.
I never heard
I
him
truly
sing.
remember.
I mean,
Curtis.
yeah, man.
I've never
Curtis
heard
used
it.
to come by the house.
Yes,
all the
yes,
time.
Yes,
Curtis used to come
absolutely.
by the house.
Yeah,
Wow.
Man, rest
and
in
then
peace,
of
young
course
man.
Jazzy Red was there, and then and he's still DJing today.
Mm-hmm.
And then I already said Lester, and then King T. You know, Terry. He was Terry,
Terry.
T.
Oh.
King T.
Come on,
you know,
Terry.
yeah, he was a part of it too. And then of course, you know, the late great Wicked Cricket. You know, he was a part of it too.
We
and
had a joke. Did Wicked ever age?
No.
no,
No.
no,
It
that
never
black
aged.
did not crack.
I showed.
Because Wicked was old, man. Wicked was old. Like
Seriously,
Wicked was older
no.
than me.
I showed a
Yeah.
picture to my daughter
Yeah.
when we talked about the concert at during the Bulls finals when it
Right.
was a big thing. I took a picture with Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a club on South Main that's still open. You know, y'all know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked was there. I
And the
took
same
a picture.
DJ is still there.
Yeah. And I showed her the.
Dude, I love him.
That's my boy,
love
Oak Cliff
Oak
and
Cliff,
Great
man.
Face.
Let me,
Oh my
hey,
God.
let me tell you something. Let me
No,
tell you
Cliff.
something.
And he can rap too.
Oak Cliff is probably one of the most phenomenal DJs I have ever seen in my
Oak
life.
Cliff?
And
They
I done
still
seen.
over there?
Let me tell you something,
Oh,
man.
wow.
And he DJing with CDs, okay? He doesn't have the new online.
Hey,
Wow.
Perry, remember,
technology.
he
And I
just
mean,
upgraded. Remember, you still on tape for a
He,
while.
yeah, he was on tape.
He was on tape.
And then they were telling us while we were doing Kids Jam, like they were like, man, it's this dude over at this spot, man. Man, he DJing with tapes. I said, you lying, man. I saw that fool.
God.
He had one of those very unique tape decks, right?
Yeah.
It was a dual tape deck, but it had pitch control on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And man, let me tell you
Wow.
something.
He mixed the
What?
two-
Yes. He had two
Hey.
of those. He was mixing.
Oh,
Sean,
Cliff.
dude,
Oh
He
my
would
gosh.
mix and do vocal live sound
I mean, he was
effects.
just
On
kind
the
of
tape.
like.
You
I mean,
thinking it's a machine doing the sound? It's him.
It's
Cliff.
him.
Oak Cliff.
So if he didn't have two turntables or whatever, he said, I'm gonna figure out a way to do what I need to
Oh,
do.
Cliff
And then
was something
he
else,
perfected
man.
something different.
Yes, he is. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I went, and maybe about 5 years ago, my cousin came to town from New Orleans, and he wanted to meet another one of his cousins who was going by that spot right on South Main. And so I was like, and you know what? And the funny thing is, I'd never been. You know, out of all the
To
time,
the place on South
I'd
Main?
never been to the place on South Main.
Really?
And so I never, it was just never my thing because
Yeah.
when I started doing Kids Jam, it jumped off like the tail end of '87, the start of '88.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a whole new frame of mind. I was like, oh,
I
okay.
got you.
And I started the DJ service. I started DJing, and then I was building up my library and just kind of my clientele and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Being on the radio was huge. That helped me a
Yeah,
great deal.
huge.
And then I was doing clubs. People wanted me to do clubs.
Which
I worked.
clubs were you doing?
Man, I did club. When I graduated from TSU, I was probably 21, maybe, because I started school real early. But I DJed at different spots. I DJ my first gig was an older spot. What was that older spot? It wasn't a Turning Point. I did that a little
Not
later.
the Turning Point.
No, worse than that. It was the
He said worse than
what
the
was
Turning
one?
Point.
Reminisce.
No,
Not
no,
Reminisce.
not Reminisce. Oh my God, it was on
Which
Sophomore.
town was- on
It was on
Sophomore?
Sophomore. It was where all the old heads went.
Not the Rooster.
No,
No, it
not
wasn't the Rooster.
It wasn't the Rooster. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank, and I don't even smoke weed. But long story short, it was an older club. 50 and up went there.
15 and up.
50s, 50s.
Oh,
and
I
up.
thought he said
No, it was people
15
like
and
Judah
up.
Boney went in there. It was like
Judah
the
Boney.
black councilman.
Wow.
It was like the
that's a
guy
old
that
dude.
Dr. What was his
Martin Luther
name?
King?
No,
Oh, my bad.
probably. He probably in there too. Ain't no telling.
My bad.
Right, but a guy named Larry Lee took over it, and and wanted to bring it back, and it was a lot of old heads that that came back in there.
And it was on Sophomore?
It was on Sophomore. It was up Sophomore. It was before you get to the museum district. Well, before you get to the museums district.
Okay, you can come
But
back.
they had
if you
Dr.
remember-
Coleman was there, the one who was the doctor, who was the big black doctor. He also owned part of KCOH, which I also worked at.
Oh man!
And,
I remember
wow.
KCOH. Yeah,
And so
wow.
I mean, it's a lot of old heads that went through there, man, and that's where I learned to DJ, and it was a phenomenal place. It was those type of things that
Yeah.
just made me so. If I was in the streets, I was just kind of like, I just had some time, to kind of spare. Because when I was a senior, man, I had like 4 jobs, man. I was Jamaican.
Do you still have all your vinyl and all that stuff?
I lost a lot of my vinyl. I still have some. I'm still keeping hope alive.
Okay.
I've still got I have maybe 50% of the vinyl that I have now that I used to have. And
Wow.
yeah,
I know you think about that
Allison,
other 50%.
Allison raped me,
Yeah,
man.
ooh.
Tropical Storm Allison absolutely raped me
that
because
was one that
we were
snuck
just
up on
ending.
us.
We were just ending Kids Jam. George Thomas was the was the general manager there, and he was a jazz dude, but he hated rap music, and it was just kind of like, what?
Okay, let me ask you this: how long did Kids Jam run for?
I was on the second one, right?
Okay.
So, and she only brought Tammy and Tammy McCall and Lester back for that, and it ran till maybe 2001.
How long did the first one run? Because I know my brother was on the first one.
Right. A couple.
Shout
of
out
years.
to Marcus Love, yes sir.
Yeah, Marcus Love. But he wasn't like as prominent as he was. You know what I
No.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Marcus was young. Marcus was like 15, and
He was
everybody
young.
thought he was like 21.
and we looked 21.
Yeah, he looked 21,
Yeah.
but he was young.
Yeah.
So when he would come home, and we have like these garage, my mom's garage has all his vinyls. All his vinyls, and then none of them got messed up. So he would have her keep them and whatever. So Marcus was like 15 or 16 when he started with you guys. When he introduced me to you guys, I met you guys I think at 12, 13, and I met you, Lester, King T, which is Terry. Terry lived with us for like a year.
That dude is underrated, man.
Yeah.
Oh, very
he's
much so.
Very underrated.
Nice, good dude too.
Terry
Weird.
lived
Good
with
dude.
us. Yeah, Terry T lived with us for like a year. And I met Lester when I think I was 12 or 13 years old. And you guys were really killing the game. You guys were doing the Fun and Grayscape. You were doing KTSU. You were doing Lockwood. You were doing Rainbow.
Oh, yeah,
You
Rainbow.
were doing,
Super
Yeah,
Skate.
man, let me tell you
Super
something,
Skate.
man.
You were
Super
doing
Skate,
all
that
that.
was-
So
yeah.
how did you get into doing the skating rings? You were doing you guys were doing Gucci's.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Gucci's had 2 sections.
Oh yeah.
It was Gucci's, and what was the other side?
I don't know.
I can't remember the other side of it.
I don't remember.
But Gucci's had 2 sides of it.
I
It
just
was a
I just remember
don't get messed up side.
Yeah.
It was
hood
that
side,
was
yeah.
that's
Real
And then-
hood
and then-
that's why
side.
the Walter released these
Yeah.
people. That
Yeah.
was
Hey, look, and after midnight, it was all one club.
Yeah, one club,
Yeah.
one whole club.
Yeah.
You can walk
That went
side
out
to
the
side.
window.
Yeah.
It was
it's funny. I'm talking, but I could never go in. I was in the parking lot.
Man,
Hey, I was in
there.
there. I was in there.
I was,
We couldn't.
I was
man.
in there.
Oh,
I'm so glad the thugs and all them hood dudes loved us.
y'all had them.
You
Yeah.
know,
Y'all
because I mean,
had 'em.
because the thing about it is, it's just, I guess it's like anything, man. It's just, my grandparents raised me, and I got a lot of old school values. Do what you say. And the biggest thing they always told me is treat everybody how you want to be treated.
How you want to
And
be
so I
treated,
treat
exactly.
the hood from the outhouse to the penthouse. I will treat you the same. And so
Yeah.
when Dietrich, like on Kids Jam, Dietrich was really big on playing local records, right? And
Right.
a lot of them were whack, but
You giving them a
we need to
chance.
play it.
Yeah.
We need to play it because this is us.
This is us, and this is Houston.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we hadn't developed a sound yet. Because, see, you got to understand, it started in New York, right?
Yeah.
But it was a New York thing. And we loved it. And it was like, okay, cool. The West Coast started their thing, but it was a West Coast thing.
Right,
We had not developed a sound
Yeah.
for the South region had not developed a sound for hip hop, and we were in the process of trying to do that.
Yeah.
And we went through them. I remember Lil Troy. Little Troy had a record company called Shortstop Records, right?
Yep.
For 10 years, Troy brought artists through there, and they didn't really do anything. But I mean, that was just, it was his record label. We were supporting it. He was supporting the station and stuff like that. And then he does one record and blows up.
Blows the hell up.
And it's just kind of like, what? Troy? It was crazy. But that's how it worked. And so in the process of us trying to build that and do that, you have you meet these relationships, and and I just had it down pat. I just told them, because I was the interview guy. I was the guy who was in college and then graduated. I was the guy who, my minor was journalism. My major academic focus was communications. It was radio, TV, film.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. And so I backed into radio. So I'm doing the first thing that I'm part of. I'm feeling it out,
Right.
And I had good instructors, man, that helped groom me. So, when I was dealing with these folks, I wasn't lying. I didn't care how hood you were. It was a bunch of drug dealers that, that were trying to, do these record labels and stuff like that. And I didn't take any money from them. I never did. I said, man, you ain't got to pay me.
So let me ask you this.
record.
So how many guys in Houston came and said, hey, Parish, play this song for me?
A bunch.
I mean, it's a part of payola.
A bunch. But here's
many?
how it was a bunch. And here's how I hit, and then when you do that, you develop a reputation.
Right,
everybody
right.
talks,
It
right?
follows
Yeah.
So if they
Everybody
know
talks.
that, hey man, he took $50 or $200
Yeah,
to play
'cause
this
it's
record,
payola.
then that's exactly what they're
So
going
it's
to
not
do.
even
Yeah.
worth it, especially like $200.
Well, not for me.
Back in the day.
people did it, but not for me. It wasn't. To me, my whole thing was, Deetra. I didn't want to be disrespectful of Deetra. And Deetra gave me this opportunity,
Right.
and that was never lost on me, And so, our job, she told us, our job is to make our city love these people. That is what we have to do. That, and in doing that, I would tell the guys, I was like, look, bro, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm on from 1 to 3. I'm gonna play your record. In the 1 o'clock hour, next week, I'm gonna play your record in the 2 o'clock hour. If your people don't call us and give you some kind of momentum,
Yeah,
we ain't
that's
gonna play
on
your
you.
record no more.
That's on
something.
you.
That's something I was going to ask.
That
you,
is on you.
because
But
Right.
with that,
You're right.
but I was adamant about that. I told him, listen, man, when I interviewed him, I had to interview because guess what? We had a little Mexican girl and she kind of fell off, and
Who was she?
I can't think of her name. I think her name was Lisa Vasquez, and she
I
was part
remember
of the
that name?
university. Well, she went to Yates. She hung with
Okay,
Mary
'cause-
Waits. And
wait, what?
she hung with Mary Waits, who was one of my instructors. I think Mary
what
Waits used
year?
to teach at 88, 89.
Okay,
She
because
used
I
to
went to
teach
Yates
at
in 88 to 92.
at Yates, and then she came over to Texas Southern to teach.
Okay.
And boy, she was on my ass, and she,
Hey,
but she made me better though. She
Real
made me
quick,
better.
How does the label give them momentum? What are you expecting them to do?
What I do is I tell them I cannot promote when I interview them, because I have to interview them, which is hard as hell to do. How do you interview? I understood what Barry Gordy said when he had to refine the people in Motown, because he was some ghetto ass kids. They were just talented as hell.
So
They were
how,
just
how you
young.
interview
You have to
somebody
teach
that
them
hadn't
how
been
to walk.
interviewed?
You got to teach the
Right.
girls how to sit. You got to teach them how to present themselves. You have to do that.
You have to groom 'em.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta groom 'em.
Exactly. You got to groom them, because you can't take the hood everywhere with you. So
No.
and then a lot of people ain't looking at that. A lot of people think they can, and you can't.
You can't.
It don't translate.
So I understood that. So what I would tell them was, we do a little pre-interview before we did the interview. I'm like, look, dude, I'm gonna interview you. Okay, listen, just
This is
relax.
what I'm gonna ask you.
Listen, no, I just give them. Listen, I'm gonna ask you stuff in your wheelhouse. I ain't gonna ask you no Barbara Walters questions and shit.
you feel about the war?
No, a tree, Rashid, a tree. What type of tree would you be, Rashid? It's not,
No,
but
it's
I
not
said,
that.
look, I'm gonna keep it simple. Listen, promote your people, talk about who produced your record and stuff like
Right.
that. I said, and then I'm gonna play your record and we're gonna be out.
Right.
I can't promote your record more than you.
No,
this is your,
I shouldn't have to
this
promote
is
your
your
record more than you.
but this is your shit, right? And you believe in it. I'm gonna play the record, but you gotta make people believe in it, and they got to
Right.
feel that from you. And that was it. And I never had too many problems at all with that. And I was very steadfast with, with the stuff I did, and we told them, look, it need to be clean. If it's overly sexual, Deetra would lose her mind.
She's not playing.
So there's a couple of times I was
She's not
suspended,
playing.
because I mean,
So if they would have brought you like pussy,
yeah, I wouldn't have played it.
No, I wouldn't have
Played
played
it.
it. Played it.
Here's the thing. I played a Big Daddy Kane record, and he said shit, and I was like, oh my God, that went over the air. And she chewed my ass out. She said, don't you
Really?
say, yo, man. She was like, don't you say shit else the rest of your shift. I'm like, I got 40 minutes, and I just played music and.
So when you
I'm
got
good.
with the Ghetto Boys, Willie D, and all of those, how did they come over as far as being played? Just basically
So,
being played.
You got to understand, that wasn't the first crew of Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't
Right.
So it was this dude named Jukebox, right? It was Jukebox. It was Johnny C.
Yeah.
Bushwick Bill, I believe, was a dancer then.
Yeah, he was.
And
an
so,
dancer, yeah.
and I want to say it might have been one more dude. I can't think of it. But basically, they put out an album. Dietrich got cool with. Dietrich was cool with James, Lil James,
Lil
right?
James, uh-huh.
So, and Lil James started a record label, and so he's doing it, and obviously, we were going to support him, and we
'Cause
were
he's
like, because
Fifth
well,
Ward,
he's
Hood, Houston.
exactly,
Right.
it's like this dude's from Fifth Ward, he's
Yeah.
doing a record label. It's like, dude, what you got, and like we told him, we like, look, as long as it's clean, give us a radio edit of it. We don't
Yeah,
need,
yeah, don't
we
give
don't,
us the
we don't
good
need to hear the
version,
mother.
hood version.
No, but like a really clean version
Yeah.
because they were tripping, like they would half-ass edit stuff. You'd hear the mother and I don't need to hear none of that. Just give me
Nothing that leads
something I
into
can
it.
play.
Right.
Exactly.
That makes me think that you're
Yeah.
gonna say
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they did that. They did everything that they needed to do, and and then they were trying to develop their artists, and then they hired a guy out of New York named Mel Smith. Mel used to work for Jive Records, and he helped them on a New York end, right? And so, because you need that, you can't, because we didn't, like I said, we didn't really have an infrastructure where we could play a record and then New York would play it and then
Yeah,
the
that
West Coast would
won't
play it.
happen,
We
no.
weren't. We had to start there and then come down,
Right.
and we did that, and then they developed a relationship with Death Row Records.
Okay.
And that was really huge with them because they had the Convicts, Big Mike, 3-2.
Yes.
Royal Flush.
Yeah,
Royal Flush.
yeah, all
Royal
those dudes.
Flush.
And so they developed that, and then they jumped off because and then for whatever reason, I don't know if they fell out or if they just made business decisions and went the other way. But when Snoop's first album, when all the stuff he was talking about, yeah, Big Baby, that was 3-2.
Yeah.
3-2 said that for years. So
Yeah.
there were influences in that,
Choke
and I
'em
think
and
that
smoke 'em like a
relationship,
motherfucking
yeah.
Peter
So
Man.
I think
Oh,
the
man.
relationship with the West Coast helped us, in Houston a great deal. And, and then that began to cultivate it. And then when they finally got their crew of Ghetto Boys, when they brought Brad in, that really kind of changed the whole dynamic of it,
Right.
because, Brad was different. Johnny C was a good rapper, and the sad part about all that was, Jukebox, had he wasn't in the I really wish that he could have been in the main group because he'd been with them for the longest,
Yeah.
but he had a kid and he had to take care of his family.
Yeah, you gotta take
you
care
know,
of his
and
family,
so
yeah.
and then while he dropped out and did that, then all of a sudden, they got a new crew of folks and then they blew up,
Right.
And so
And
they
that's
were-
the hardest part. When you're there from the very beginning and then you have to step out because of personal reasons or whatever you have to do.
But that's
and then when you
self-inflicted,
get-
though.
Yeah, when you
That's
get out
self-inflicted.
and then they blow up,
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah.
Kind of like
I think he tried to put out-
Temptations
Yeah,
and-
I think he tried to put out albums and stuff like that. No, it wasn't like that's now because those girls they were with the first project because I interviewed them too. They came through when they were Girls Town. I interviewed them.
Girls
I had a
Town, yeah.
relationship with Rashawn McDonald, so I used to.
Okay.
One of the gigs I had was I used to DJ at this spot called the Hip Hop Comedy Stop, right? And
Where was that?
it was on Main. It was on South Main.
Yeah.
And well, initially it was off of 45 in a hotel, and then the Indians
hotel?
in a
Yeah.
hotel. It was
Yeah.
like a hotel.
Wait,
Oh, like the
like the
ball.
yeah.
ball-
Oh, the
yeah.
bottle. I was like,
Right.
wait,
no.
what?
No, I wasn't like that. No, I wasn't
No,
no, I said
no.
a hotel.
Well, you
not a
wait.
hotel.
Check out time. Wait, what?
Cut the lights off, all the silhouettes. It's like, look at the stars. No, not that.
Wait,
No
what?
black love incense, all that.
Oh, the black love. Oh my
That's so
gosh.
funky. My God. But anyway.
You got a couple hours, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, we childish, man.
Yeah, we
That's
childish.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's
I love
fine.
it.
Yeah, but he started out there, and then the Indian guy that owned the hotel didn't want all those black people in his hotel.
Yeah.
So they found a theater, a small theater over on South Main.
Okay.
And it's great, and it really worked out. And then he needed a DJ at one time, And then he asked me if I was interested because what he was doing, Rashawn, they knew we had a number one show. Okay. And a lot of people at KTSU didn't know, but everybody else in the city knew because they got the Arbitron ratings, right?
Yeah, because we were local.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to plug in real quick because he said it went there. No, you guys broke a lot. I knew people.
That's all we did.
I knew people that was from somewhere else was like, they didn't say go to this big radio. They was like, hey, can you get it at KTSU?
Absolutely, yeah.
Y'all know anybody at as a collective, you guys were like the gatekeepers.
Man, to this day, we're still friends with some of the people, some of the college reps. See, the college reps was so much more impactful than the regular record reps because, see, nobody played, Looking at the Front Door by Main Source.
Oh,
Luscious Ice.
Gosh. That used to be the...
What?
Oh my God!
And that was because of Luscious Ice. He had a relationship with a dude named Sincere that worked at the record label, Wild Pitch, I believe it was.
Oh my God!
And then we were just kind of like, okay, and they were able to get their records played.
Yeah.
Now, us being a number one show because everybody listened to us, and I know this for a fact because when Ice left us, because Ice became part of Kids Jam too, and when he left, he told me he was in management at the Box. He called me one day. He said, "Man, we might as well just cut off the damn signal. Y'all kicking our ass, bro." He was like, "Dude," I said, "I'm looking at these numbers, dude."
Yeah.
He said, "And Scorpio ain't even tripping."
Shout out to Ice.
He said Scorpio ain't even tripping
because you all's time was burnt into our heads.
Yeah.
It started out for a couple of hours, and then they extended it from 10 to 4 p.m. Right, and so the final the thing about it was. It evolved like everything else. So when Dietrich first approached me, she walked up to me and she was like, "Okay, you know what? I want you to read PSAs and the jock liners."
Oh my
she said, "That's all I want you to do." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. I'll be a part of it." I mean, I was familiar with what Kids Jam was, and I said, "Yeah, I'd love to be a part of it." And she was like, I said, "Well, why you want me to just read PSAs?" She said, "Because you're the only kid that comes through here that can actually complete a sentence without saying, you know what I'm saying." You know what I'm saying? So I was
there it is.
I was like, okay, cool. So I did that. And then she walked up to me like maybe, 4 months in. She was like, "Look, I need you to do a segment." She said, "You took journalism classes, don't you?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." I was like, "That's my minor." She said, "I want you to do a segment called Entertainment Notes, and I need it to be 1 minute and 30 seconds and walk the hell off." And I was just kind of like,
why do I remember that?
So what?
Because and you know what, and what it made
that?
me do was it made me think, and it made me say, okay, structure. How do I want to structure this? Because I mean, you're on the air with people like Lester Surpace, and I knew Tammy was talented, and it's just kind of like, okay, nobody knows me. I'm nobody in Houston. So how do I develop me? Mary Waits told me one time. She said, "I heard you on the radio." I was like, "Oh, yeah?" And she was like, "Yeah, you sound black." I was like, "Well," and she said, "Yeah, but if you're going to do this as a business," she said, "you don't need to have a geographical sound or an ethnic sound." Yeah. And I was like,
So how does the journalism background, or as far as learning about journalism, how does that affect
structure and writing. When Mary Waits told me, she said, "You know what?" She said, "You're going to be a great jock when you find out who you are." And I was like, "I'm Parish Murphy, I think," and so, no, but in saying that, you understand, Lester Surpace is a huge personality. Yeah. I mean, he's the chairman of the board. He's that dude, Right. I mean, there's no, when anybody says Kids Jam, I'm never offended that they don't know who Parish Murphy is. I'm never offended because I know who that dude is. Yeah. So I was like, damn, how do I find my niche in this? So I was like, okay, here's what I can do. I know that I have a gift, right? I can make you laugh. I'm gonna entertain you. I'm gonna entertain you. I'm gonna educate you, and I'm gonna play your damn record. And that's what I'm gonna do.
And the funny part about that is when I didn't know who you guys were or how big you were. When y'all would come to my mom's house and y'all would eat, y'all would do everything. Every freaking weekend, y'all would, and I would look at it like, these dudes are at my mom's house.
No, they eating all my
They're
groceries.
eating all my
Ain't
food.
no lemon pie.
And my mom is telling me to help her in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I hated you guys. I'm not going to lie. Because I looked at it like, all of these dudes, and I was the only girl there. All these dudes that come in, all y'all do is sleep on the floor. Y'all eat. Y'all did. I mean, my mom is just, but once I started hearing the people at school, they'd be like, "Girl, you know that? Can I come over your house this weekend?" And that's how all of these girls would end up at my house on the weekend because Paris, Marcus, Marlon, Lester, Terry, all of these Luscious Ice, all of these guys, Shannon, all of these guys were at my house this week, and I was like, I just want these dudes to leave.
You just want to eat your
I just want to leave.
karate
I just wanted
movies.
y'all to leave. I was sick of beans and rice. I was sick of fried chicken. I was sick of all of stewed. I was sick of all of that stuff because y'all were there. But I didn't realize who you guys were.
So looking back on it now,
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh!
yeah.
I mean, I had
I knew who
Luscious
they were.
Ice. I had
We was
Brad. I had all of these
King
guys
T.
there. King T.
Yeah.
I had all of these dudes there. I mean, we've seen all of them from the Big Mics to all of them were at my house, and I'm like, I'm just ready for y'all to go because I have to clean up after you dudes, and I don't like that. I didn't like that. But once I heard how big y'all, I was like, damn.
You appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and then when she
Those
got old
are
enough to get in
very
clubs,
big.
then that hate turned to
Man,
love.
when I used to go to Jamaica.
What?
Oh,
Yes.
my
And I'm gonna
goodness.
tell you this: my brother is as dark as your eyes is closed. Now I'm not that dark.
Oh yeah, he's
And
maroon.
I would go to the door and
can say that. I'm
real
not saying
talk,
that.
real talk. I would go to the door and I was like, "Can y'all tell my brother to come to the door?" And they're like, "Who is your brother?" I was like, "Marcus Love." They were like, "Girl,
Liar.
please." They were like, "Girl, please." That ain't your brother. And he would.
You and them other faux hoes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
They
they're
would
doing.
come to the door and they were like, and my brother would come to the door and they were like, "Man, let her in. Let her and her friends in." I was like, I told y'all. So
Yeah.
I started learning the perks
Oh,
of
yeah.
being around these guys because I would go to the club, the Gucci's, the skating rings, and I was like, "Look, I'm carrying the bags. I don't care what y'all do.
That's
I'll
my
get
point
in."
when I was saying
I
it
would
was
get
so
in.
hot. Like he could say nobody knew.
No, we all knew.
Barbershops
We
on that
all
side of
knew.
town.
We targeted, and we
knew.
knew that,
And-
and we targeted that.
And
because
high school dances.
when I brought Stevie in, and I introduced him to Deetra, and I was like,
Stevie?
Deetra, Stevie C.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he used to work with Michael Watts a lot, right?
Yep.
5,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Gotcha.
so, well, before he was 5,000, he got 5,000 at the box. We knew when he was Michael Watts.
He
you
was
know, on the
5,000
north side.
Out of Rosewood.
Yeah, we knew he was 500.
Exactly out of Rosewood.
And but he was a hell of a DJ.
He wasn't even 5,000
And
yet. He
so
had a comma.
So he and Stevie used to do stuff out of town and in these small little spots. And basically what they did was what we did on the radio.
Okay.
And just kind of rock Eagle Lake and all these other little
Yeah.
spots. And so I met Stevie one morning. I think it was Sunday morning. This was when Lester Pace and Walter D had a record shop on Laura Copy, right?
Okay.
Yep.
And so I went in there one Sunday. I was either skipping church or it was after church. I don't remember. But
was after
I
church
met
'cause
them.
you made
I
me
met
like
him there, and we just kind of hit it off. And then I was like, okay, because they had stuff there where they set up. They were selling mixtapes and just doing all the stuff we do, And me and Stevie were cool, and Stevie actually stayed down the street from me. I didn't even know that. I'd seen him for years, but never really knew what
Knew
he
who
did.
it was,
So he got on board and he was mixing. And so we started the car wash mix, right?
Yeah.
So 105 and
Yeah.
205, that's when we jumped off. And we targeted those, and we when we were in the streets, we targeted those people. And then
You knew
we,
what was going on
Absolutely.
at every
Well,
particular time.
I
Because
knew
they
I knew
generated.
who would
Yeah.
listen to me.
Yeah.
And I knew
Yeah.
the people that we reached, I knew that. So, and listen, they got Lester was doing a lot of street work with with the roller skating rings and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And then he brought me in. He was like, "Hey, Murph, help me do this commercial." And I was like, "Okay, And
Because you was that guy.
yeah, well, you know what? I knew I had an element of humor to me. I knew if I couldn't hit you upside the head, I could make you laugh. I knew that. I know
Yeah.
that's my superpower, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And so we came up with all kind of crazy, wild, funny ass commercials, and that's what grabbed people there. It was
Yeah.
grown ass people in rainbow skating rings, skating, old ass.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cholesterol high,
all that, all
sugar,
that.
sugar bad. You in there skating, So I mean, and
If you
that
could
was one
skate
thing.
backwards, you wasn't nobody.
Exactly. So I mean, so all of that, and then and we encourage people. When we did remotes, we would say, you know what, I would tell Deetra, I was like, let's go, because this was like when the Motorola phones came out, right? And that was where you had to have a little strap with a little
bag.
thing,
Yeah,
and
the
that was how we
bag.
did call-ins, right? So I told her, I said, well, listen, we do a car wash mix. I said, well, why don't we go to car washes? I said, why don't we do that?
That's it.
And we went. She was like, well, you need to find some car washers. I said, okay. I said,
they
well,
were lucrative.
I was like, well, look, there's a green one in South Park on Reed Road and MLK. I said, let's go there. We went there and hung out and kicked it with them, and then and since then, what they did was they would turn us up all the way.
Yeah.
They would had a speaker out and they would turn us up, and that's
free
what we did.
promotion on
Even
top.
even down the street, we went down the street on Scott Street.
And the car washes would be
them.
packed.
Yeah.
Man, we
Packed.
saw.
That was back in the day.
yes.
That was the
Yes, it was
life
crazy.
then. If you
And
weren't at
then
the car
When you
wash,
wash your car and listen to the radio.
Exactly.
We saw Vernon Maxwell. We met Vernon Maxwell,
Why am I
Houston
not
Rocket.
surprised?
Vernon Maxwell shooting dice on Scott
Oh,
Street.
my
Yeah,
God.
that's
Car
that's
wash.
him.
my God.
That's
him.
him. And so we knew that, and as that moved on and on and on and on, people just kind of caught on, and people knew. I mean, we had Greg Street there because when we started, Hurricane Dave was on the radio, and then Hurricane Dave left Magic, and then they brought in Greg Street, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Greg Street's a
Greg Street,
great promotions guy, right? And so what he did was he was cool, and I think he came in with it wasn't Mel Smith, it was somebody else. I think it might have. No, it wasn't Mel. He came in with somebody that was like one of the national reps, and they brought an artist by and stuff like that. And he was listening to what we played, and he played that following week. Michelle Milton told me he played all the stuff we were playing. But here's the thing: like we broke records, right? Like we broke records. You'd hear some if you wanted to hear something new, all you had to do was turn on Saturday.
What was the biggest record that y'all broke?
I was gonna ask that
I
same
was going to
question.
ask the exact same thing.
Yeah, the one that you broke it and a month down the line, you're like, well, God.
Dang,
I'm gonna ask
I ain't
this:
even
what
know
was the
that.
biggest Houston artist you got? Because
Yeah.
they don't have to nationally, but because everybody I knew was in the music industry locally here was like, take it to KTSU.
Got to.
Right.
If you want them played, and that's
You
why
had to go
that's
through
why Rashawn
KTSU.
would bring his comics by.
Yeah.
I met D.O. Hughley when he was hosting, BET. I met J'Anthony Brown, one of the funniest dudes I've ever heard before. I met a lot of those comedians because they would bring them through.
Yeah.
And what was the biggest hit? Man, it was so many, man. I mean, you talk Looking at the Front Door was a big one that Ice did.
That was my jam, man.
It was just so many different things. And then Marcus Love, man. Marcus Love was a fool, man. With that reggae? I mean, listen, he
My brother
came on
loved
after I
reggae.
did. He came on from 3 to 4, and he would play reggae, warm and easy. And I don't know, man, look, I couldn't tell you. All I could tell you was Third World and maybe 3 other artists. But dance hall became really
Yeah,
big. Roots
it
wasn't
came.
as huge, but he would play sometimes. But he introduced that, and man, they had to play that at clubs.
Yeah.
They had to play
Yeah.
it. There were
That's
people.
how he got on to Jamaica.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Who
how
had-
he
that was
actually got-
Paul was crazy.
Tuesday
night.
night.
Because I was like, Tuesdays
Yes.
and Sundays.
Sundays and
Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
And
Let me tell
I
you
was
something.
like,
And your ass
dude.
better get there before 10:30.
Sure better.
You know,
Especially if
'cause
you're
I
a
was
guy.
at the door.
Especially if you're a guy, because ladies, dudes be there like they can wait. We trying to get
they
in.
got the club for the
But,
for the ladies.
but the
So
fact,
if ladies
but the
in
fact
there,
that
the
this
guys
guy
will
on
tell
the
you.
radio cultivated, and that was when he became Marcus Love. Because Marcus was always in the background. He would always be DJing while Lester could take the cordless mic and walk around and do that.
Yeah.
And Marcus
That
just
wasn't
kind of
Marcus'
knew
thing,
he
no.
kind of knew the flow. But it wasn't mine either. We had to grow into that.
Yeah, Mark was.
You have
He's
to-
still
you-
not that.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
but he'll do what he needs to do.
He's still DJ.
Well, he's
Yeah,
on the air.
Marcus is in
He's in Tyler.
Marshall, Texas.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Okay,
Texas.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's on the radio.
93.7,
Yeah.
93.9.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the
They
primary
were-
jock that they got
Yeah.
there too. He's good. But in developing the reggae stuff, that was huge for Houston because people
Yeah,
could
it
say-
was.
people could say, "Oh, well, he didn't break reggae." Let me tell you something. If there's any man on the planet in this town that broke more reggae than Marcus Love, I'd like to know who the hell he is.
Yeah.
And what his platform was,
Yeah.
because he was
You're right.
a fool with that reggae stuff.
You're right.
And I was so glad I knew him because I would never get in Jamaica without him.
No, I wouldn't get into Jamaica.
Exactly.
We even had the same last name,
Exactly.
and they were looking at
Yeah.
me like,
So-
"Come on, girl, that ain't your
Yeah,
brother."
so I'm blessed because Kids Jam was a platform, man. It was that platform that allowed us to do different things.
But it plateaued all of you guys.
It did.
It plateaued all of you guys in different segments because Lester is one place, Ice is one place,
He's
you
running
are
Rock
one
Nation.
place,
Yeah.
Mark is one place. I mean, it's all different areas that you guys have plateaued and you've been successful in.
everything has an expiration date, you know.
Yeah,
and so
everything does.
Everything evolves and everything has an expiration date. I learned as a disc jockey when we first got in it, you know, Ice and I were still real tight. And he would say, man, all these people are treating us funky. Like Snowman would be treating us funky.
Yeah.
And you know, RP Cola kind of looked at us sideways.
Damn, RP
Well, but
That
RP,
name in
you
a
know,
while.
but
That
RP
name-
Cola,
that name
RP
weird.
didn't know us.
Yeah.
No,
You know what I
I get
mean?
that.
You
And
knew.
we was just, you know,
Yeah.
we was just new booty. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we were. You know, so yeah. You know, so I mean, it was just kind of like he didn't know who the hell we were.
Yeah.
And he trying to keep his spot. But what I learned is, I told Ice, I said, I'm never going to be like that, man. If I can help somebody, I'll help them. Because I learned that, you know, this spot ain't yours to have. It's
No.
yours for a minute. And when your time is up, you got a decision to make. Are you going to help the next dude be better? Or are you just going to fade into
You got to
obscurity?
linger around for
You
a
know?
while. And,
Yeah.
Because at some point you took somebody else's spot.
Absolutely.
That's
Hey,
creating
man,
a
listen.
legacy too. You
Yeah,
just
look.
leave it.
Yeah.
Slick Rick Lauderdale, God rest my friend's soul, man.
Slick Rick.
God rest my friend's soul.
Oh, my
Let me tell you
gosh.
something. That man taught me how to DJ because when I was working in that old folks spot, I was just because my friends were working in Main Event and all these other clubs where they was dancing all night, and I was like, oh damn. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to make them dance. He was like, man, these some old ass folks, man. They ain't gonna dance. He said, listen, just play their record. They gonna wave at you and whatnot. He said, just play their record, you know, and you're gonna be cool. You know,
Yeah.
they there to drink. They not there to do that. Then,
Right.
you know, they developed like a Friday night where, you know, where he brought in some live music and he made it a lot bigger. So then I played more music and things like that. But, you know, it was one of those things where you had to learn. He taught me that. You know, he taught me how to play my crowd, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
You
important.
have to learn
That's
that.
very
You
it's not-
have
important.
to
Let me
learn
tell you,
that.
it's an art. You know, you just don't sit up and just and-
play music.
Well, that's the
No.
misconception. Technology has helped
Yeah.
and handicapped so many people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a guy told me, he was like, how many songs do you have? I was like, well, I don't know. He was like, well, you know, I have 300,000 songs. I said, but I could take 25 and bust your ass.
bust-
Yeah,
I could take
and bust your
I could take
whole head.
25 and take your
Yeah.
part.
300,000 songs.
Exactly.
in one
You'll
set.
never be able to do it. So you
So,
have to
was your-
look at it and you have to determine.
You
okay,
have to know your crowd.
absolutely. Well, but you have to guesstimate too.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're doing something,
You got your
and
test
white
records.
folks sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
You need to use your power and be like, okay, it's an
What's the
older-
middle ground
You know,
between
yeah, this is some older white folks. Okay, well I tell you what, I can play maybe some Steely Dan. I can hit him, and then you know the black folks are still
Fleetwood
kind
Mac
of
and-
exactly.
See the reaction of it.
Well, yeah, you kind of do it, and then you build
Yeah.
it, and you just kind of like, oh, okay. You know, hey, man, look, that DJ service that I started in 1988, 33 years later, I'm still doing it.
DJ service. So
Absolutely.
just-
I started a DJ service because we were getting records. The record reps would give us records, MCA and
Yeah.
Warner Brothers and all of them, because they wanted us to play their records. So I was like, well, give me all of them then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I
Give
play
me-
all of them.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't give me like the country, but they would give me the R&B
The stuff
and the
that's
rap.
pertinent.
But you
Exactly.
have everything in your garage that says
Uh,
not for sale.
Absolutely. Damn near. Yeah.
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, I know it. 'Cause I got 'em.
Are they for sale?
Yeah.
No.
they're not
Okay,
for
good.
sale.
No, as a matter of
They're-
fact,
they're-
They're
they're
never for
those
sale.
ones
Now, when I
that-
die, I'm gonna tell my son. I'm gonna tell him push all them bitches in there with me. You know, push all them bitches in there
Like,
with
Dad,
me.
I can't have them.
The hell
I don't
no.
give a
if
shit.
If he wants
Push
them, he
out-
can have them.
melt 'em down.
My youngest son will probably be the person who would do that because he's into music and producing and stuff like that. And you know, I'm gonna tell him, I'm like, bro, if you don't want it, chunk all them bitches in there with me.
Okay,
You know,
you better.
especially my Peter Piper 12 inches.
Ooh.
Put them in there.
Because
No,
I'm just
you
gonna be
can't
real.
put Peter
I'm gonna be
Piper.
real.
No.
Oh man, I'm gonna be real. Marcus has. I mean, they're still in my mom's garage, but everything in there says not for sale.
Oh, yeah.
He would get
Yeah.
like we would get the
Promotional use
the
only.
promotional use only, and we were talking about the ones that the CDs come for $1 at 16 for $1.
Oh, yeah.
We would get the boxes. And it was like every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Every weekend we would
Yeah.
get these.
I told you that-
These 12 inches
Oh, yeah.
and all of that. And we would get them, and he was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm like, give them to me. Give them to me. And I didn't know what they were. And I was like, okay, let me play this. And then I would get used to these songs. And half of these songs, nobody ever known.
yeah.
Because they would never go out.
Right.
They would just come to the people to promote them.
Right.
But they would never get put out for radio distribution or anything like that.
No.
So that would be like the major thing for us.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, and we were a valuable tool. See, the reps will come up there on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, Cheryl will come up there on Saturday. P2 will come up there on Saturday. You know, Mikey Jam will come up there on Saturdays. It was a bunch of guys. You know, Randy was working Polygram, and I mean, all these people had a relationship with us, and they were
Right.
just kind of like, you know what? these dudes, everybody's listening to them on Saturday, and
Yeah.
we need to go up there and drop off records. And we were like, and then what we said, well, and Deidre was again, this was her brilliance. She said, give them to everybody. Make sure don't just walk up here and give nothing to Lester.
Because people didn't realize how big Kids Jam was.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, it was
They
a big
did
part of
not
my,
realize.
And they answered the phone.
Yeah, they,
Oh yeah.
They answered the
You know,
phone.
real talk.
No,
The
Real
phone
they
talk.
answered
why
the
it came
phone.
back. Because again, I wasn't there at first, right? So I'm a freshman at TSU in '86, and even going by the radio station and speaking and just cultivating a relationship, periodically we would hear, no, they're not bringing back Kids Jam. Okay, and Deidre said, I've answered these calls for years.
Yeah.
Like I've literally answered these kind of calls for years. So she saw her vision of bringing it back was brilliant, man. And even though George hated it and didn't like it, but George wasn't. I think George was working sales then, and then George Thomas, and then after Rick Roberts, got ill, he took over as general manager and stuff like that. Charles Porter was the first general manager that I dealt with when I first started coming through, and he's actually the one who helped me get on at KCOH. So I had 2 radio gigs, man, when I was my last 2 years in college. I was working at KTSU, I was working at KCOH, I was working I got a job at Sound Warehouse in the Park Shopping Mall downtown.
Oh, you was at the park at
I was in the park downtown, yeah. And then I was DJing too, and so it was just kind of, man, my week was full, and
How
I
long
loved
were you
it.
at KCOH?
KCOH. I was there until maybe 2000.
Okay.
I was there a long time. I was there. I got on maybe
From what
88.
year to what year?
I got on like maybe 89,
God damn.
88, 89, and then I maybe left around 99, 2000, something like that.
Okay.
I did
Yeah, you
KTSU
did that a
longer,
long time.
a little longer than I did. Yeah, I was the Nighthawk. That was my.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Nighthawk.
did 6
Okay.
in the morning and Saturday mornings,
Okay.
and then Wash Allen would come on after me and do his thing,
Wash.
and then I did Sunday night, midnight to 5:30 in the morning, and then Michael Harris would come in and he would relieve me. So when Ice and I started going to KTSU, even when we didn't have school, like during the summer sessions and stuff, I would catch the bus from the north side, he'd catch the bus from the south side, we'd meet downtown, and then we'd catch the bus to 3rd Ward, the 51 Scott. And what we do is
52
52 Scott. I'm sorry, 52.
Well,
You right? I'm
wait a
sorry.
minute, no.
I'm sorry. Okay, hey, look, I don't want to
me
fight nobody over no bus. I ain't here to fight nobody over
That's
no
all I got
bus.
that bus, man.
The bus schedule, okay?
You know what they do,
You know,
boy.
I don't want to do it. No, but we would catch the 52 Scott, and then we would go to the radio station. And Michael Moore was the program director there, and he was the morning guy, the on-air morning guy. And he was a big jazz dude. And so he was very instrumental, and we would hang around, and I was like, well, I want to see what you do. And so he was very generous and very gracious and allowed us to work on reel to reel, because back then they edited stuff in radio. Radio production was reel to reel.
Right.
You had these big reels. They were at a slant, and what you would do is you would maneuver the reels, you will mark it with a marker, and then you cut it with a razor blade. And so he would allow us to do
come on,
that.
OJ.
And I was OJ. I was Zorro and OJ, and so it was just to a point where.
So you were innocent of editing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And that was it. And then he started giving us the affidavits that we had to cut certain stuff out of and things like that. And we were just kind of like, okay, cool. We would go there, and we weren't getting paid, but what I was getting paid for was knowledge, because Steve Crane used to say something to me all the time. He said, Murph, if you can't do this shit for free, how you going to do it for money? And that makes sense. And kids don't get that now,
No.
And, you had to get coffee for people, and you got to pay dues. See, I'm never bent out of shape if I don't get money, as long as I'm learning and I'm benefiting.
All
You're getting
right.
something
I'm
out
learning.
of it.
I'm learning how to fish
Right.
instead of eating. Coming to your fish fry.
yeah,
And I'm good
yeah.
with that, because there's going to be a point I ain't coming by you no more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I get that. And even working in business now, all of those concepts are still, even trying to build my thing. I've got a film company, a film production company that I'm starting, and I'm getting that off the ground. I've done every aspect of what I went to college for. I did radio for a long time. I've been in television since 1998, and I'm about to do film. So this is what I've always wanted to do. And I'm blessed to be able to do it. Even now, I feel like I'm behind, but you know what? I'm not upset. I raised a family.
why are you
I'm
behind?
Well,
Because you feel that
Are
you
you
didn't do
really
it.
behind,
No,
or
I feel- no,
or are you where you are?
I could have done more, but the most important thing to me was what I took care of, and so I'm good with that. I'm over it. I just want to make sure that. But now here's the thing: is that now I've got maybe a hot 15 to 20 years to get it done, and it can be done. But I just got to figure out how to get it done.
I think about that same thing. It's like I'll be 52 next month.
Right.
It's like, oh damn, I sure hate that I found this.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're thinking about the age. How much can I get done?
But you're not too old.
realistically.
Well, but here's the thing: you work smart, not hard.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what you do. And then secondly, you know, I'm very, my demeanor is that I don't really snub my nose at anybody. Like I work with younger cats now. And I still do television production. They're younger cats in their 20s that show me new things.
I was just going to say, they'll show you some
shit.
They'll show me something, and then I'll show them something. I'll tell them, hey, man, look, you ain't got to do that. Don't do this. This is how you market this. Because, see, everything goes full circle. You know, everything, even though we're in a social media age where you know it didn't happen. If it didn't happen on social media, I can at least tell them. Let me tell you something. I'm so glad God didn't put me in social media. Oh my God, you know I'm so glad.
I'd be fucked
I'm
up.
glad I had rotary dial phones. I'm glad.
So what are you filming with? What type of cameras are you filming with right now?
We do Sony, and then you know we've got some of the ones you guys. We got the Canons. But I like the Panasonic. Panasonic has a good camera that, and I've got a JVC, a personal JVC that I use. I'm getting ready to start doing a show, and I'm putting it together. Well,
I mean, plug in that little thing.
Wait, I was going to ask, what was the name of the film?
It's going to be, well, I've got some projects written down. I lost a lot of stuff that got wiped out during Harvey because I'm that dude that leaves, you know, shit on the floor, you know?
Right.
So, well, when I write and when I do stuff, it's normally in the middle of the night. I'm in my living room. I'm sitting on the floor, not on the couch, and I got the TV going. I'm not paying attention to it, but I'm writing and I'm listening to my recorder, and I'm like, okay, I said something earlier. What did I say? Okay, let me develop that into a scene. Yeah. So I have 4 things that I'm developing, just kind of a general synopsis of what these things are, and then I'll go and develop them. Right. Okay. So that's how I'm going.
What are you using to edit your stuff?
I am using Adobe Premiere.
Okay, so I started with
Final Cut.
Well, when I was doing my using my phone to record shit, it was iMovie. Then I went to Final Cut.
Okay, that's fine.
And so just recently, I switched over to DaVinci Resolve. Is there a big difference between DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere?
I haven't used that. You know, when I was editing, because I worked at CBS, I worked at ABC, and I worked at CBS for about 14 and a half years, and I was doing news editing, right? And you know, it's kind of like working at Burger King. You know, when you editing at work, you don't want to come home and edit shit. You know, you don't. I mean, and I had Final Cut Pro on my computer, and then, you know, when they learned how to get the bootleggers out, right? They learned how to weed them out, and they started, you know, making it more nonlinear, subscription based and stuff like that. But a lot of people fell out with Final Cut Pro because they used to be purely production people, and then they made like a consumer version, and they kind of changed up what they did, and then had a bunch of layoffs, and people fell out with them, and they jumped on, you know, Adobe Premiere. And Adobe Premiere is good. It's just one of those things like technology. I'm the creative dude. Like I'm the dude that could say, you know, hey man, this is what we can do. This is the idea. This is how we can execute it. This is what we can do. But as far as and I can help put it together. But from a technological standpoint, I'm not that great. So that's what I rely. But I'm blessed because I have other people who do that.
So the issue I had with Final Cut Pro, and I actually love Final Cut Pro, and if you're making,
they keep using it.
But the issue that I had with it, it renders files and it creates a copy. It does something else and it creates a copy, and before you know it, you've used up all the memory. And,
right.
And that was a big. Remember, I told y'all I was having an issue with that. I had to go to YouTube University, to figure out how to
YouTube. Man,
not to clear it out,
right,
and actually go back and start back again. So that's why I went to DaVinci Resolve, because it doesn't do that.
My suggestion and my advice would say do whatever works for you, whatever is easier and whatever works for you.
So if
because
it's a
at the end
smaller
of the
file,
day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you know, digital is digital, just like water is wet. At the end of the day,
if it's a smaller file, like a sneaker video or something like that, I can use Final Cut Pro all day. It's perfect. But for what we're doing right now and what I anticipate doing in the future. I need something a little bit more.
Get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
I know
that's-
people that use both Final Cut Pro and they also use Adobe Premiere.
Yeah, it's like having a
use both of them.
toolbox. You know,
It's a
with bunch
tool.
of, with
It's
a
a
bunch
tool
of,
because let me tell you something.
Trevor,
No
you
one's
want-
going.
Trevor,
If
you
you
want-
do a film or you do a project, no one's gonna say, "Oh, that ain't Final.
That's
That's
not-
Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
You a bullshit ass motherfucker. You using Final Cut Pro? The hell is wrong with you? No one's gonna do that. You know,
Right.
it just the look of my concern is always the look. It's like my DJ service.
Quality.
I'm concerned about the sound quality. You know, I'm not concerned about having the greatest technology, Bluetooth, and all that other bullshit. You know, because Bluetooth will disengage. You know, and to me, my sound is everything. You know,
Yeah.
and I ain't been doing this 33 years. You know, for nothing.
no reason,
You know,
yeah.
people have me. I do wedding receptions. I've done a ton of wedding receptions, corporate functions, and the wedding one guy, he had 3 daughters. I did every single one of their weddings. And all he did was sit in the back and wave. He wanted me to play some Johnny Guitar Watson for him, and that was it. You know, and I made him some CDs too
Yeah,
one time for his
yeah.
birthday. So it's that. You know what I mean? I just do what works for me. I mean, obviously,
I'm catching up with you though, because
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
I'm
do-
like 2.5 years in the game.
I,
so
I
nigga-
got lighter,
So,
and then you know, and I've gotten, you know, I just kind of stay where I am because I know even for my DJ stuff, man, I know there's an expiration date for that. But I'm a ride it to the wheels
Till the
come
wheels
off. I'm gonna ride it. I'm
Till the
gonna
buckle
fuck up
come
the rim.
off.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this, and then when nobody calls me, I'll be like, okay, I had a good run.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
at the end of the day,
But
it
look
is.
how long your run has been.
And I'm blessed and I'm fortunate. I mean, Ice is still DJing. You know,
Yeah,
he does
yeah.
a bunch of trail rides, and he can do concerts. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Because
Ice
it's
comes to me
needed.
every Sunday.
yeah.
It's
Ice-
needed.
Yeah, it is.
Because I was at my daughter's thing, and this guy, as soon as we was getting in the group, he changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. That's mentorship. And here's the thing. See, when Slick Rick was telling me what I needed to do, you know, at the club I was at, you know, he was just kind
Slick
of
Rick.
Wonder Bar. Yeah, Slick
Slick
Rick.
Rick,
Yeah, when
yeah.
he was telling me about the Wonder Bar and the crowd, you know, understand who you playing for, you know,
Yeah.
because you got to understand, as a DJ, you're the entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are cheap asses that they'll
You have to know
try
your
to cheap
crowd,
out on that.
though.
They'll try to cheap out on the entertainment, but then they'll blow money on bullshit. You
They
know,
just play anything.
but which is why I was just kind of like, after I got hit by Allison, I was gonna let it go, and you know, because
Couldn't do it.
all my stuff had gotten wet, and I was just depressed, man. I was just kind of like, wow, this was all the stuff I played on Kids Jam. I had it on the floor, and I was gonna file it into my cabinets and stuff,
Right.
and into my shelving, and Stevie took my turntables from me. He squirted some WD-4. He let them dry out, squirted WD-4.
There you
on,
go.
Put them back together, and brought them back to my house.
Was it your turntables or was it your coffins?
This was my turntables. Because you know what? I never got a coffin because it was too damn
Never.
heavy.
Too
Really?
heavy.
I didn't never got a coffin.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
What I did was I bought anvil cases. Now I had them wood heavy ass anvil cases, you know, but then they made the aluminum
Marcus would
ones.
come home with these coffins.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
long
Because
Yeah.
all he
yeah,
wanted
the
to
long
do,
coffins.
because all he wanted to do was just open it up, plug it
Yeah,
up, and
plug
be
it
done.
up and be
Exactly.
done.
Yeah. that's what
And
he wanted to
Chris
do.
used to, when I first met Chris, he was like, "Wow, what is that in your brother's room?" I was like,
body.
"That's his coffin." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, it's just
A coffin. That's a girl from the
and at that
What
time,
was it?
It's like
it's
this,
deep.
and it's
It's-
long.
long.
It's
It's,
long,
about 6
but
feet
it's long.
long with two
then
turntables
you have the
in
one-
it.
It's enough to hold 2 Technique 1200 turntables.
Right.
Mixer.
In the
A
middle,
mixer.
a Newmark mixer, and
another turntable,
Okay, okay.
right?
No, yeah.
And I did not know what they actually meant and what they were doing. It just was. That's what my brother did on the nights, and he would go to the skating ring. He would go to TSU, la la la. It didn't bother me, and Chris was so fascinated by it. He was like, "Oh man, my friends was talking about it at school and da da da." I was like, "Yeah, that's my brother. So what are we about to do right now?" It didn't bother me at all. But once I understood what it was and what these guys did, it was like, wow, I didn't really understand the magnitude.
I'm gonna be doing a show. Don't tell nobody yet.
Oh my god.
But I'm gonna call it 30 minutes with Parish Murphy. And what I'm gonna do, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cover Comic-Con coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm trying to get an interview. I'm hoping I get it with William Shatner, Captain
Oh,
Kirk.
shit.
If I get that, I'm gonna be a goddamn fool.
Hey, can I come watch?
You know,
I mean, can we all come
man,
watch?
hell no.
You know what?
That's
I'm
fair.
gonna be in your house.
That's
No,
fair.
no, because you know what? Because these people who represent them and handle them are kind of funky, and they don't want entourages. And I'm trying to get in where I fit in. So I got
I wouldn't invite Mel.
we've got
no
a
way.
camera,
Whatever.
and me, and we're gonna. And if I can get a 10-minute interview with him, that would be the bomb.
10 minutes
Yeah,
from
the
William
cat that,
Shatner is
the
like,
cat that
oh
does
my God.
Arrow, the cat that does the lead for Arrow. He's going to be there, and the Hispanic cat that played Namor in Black Panther 2. He's going to be there as well. So those are 3 interviews that I'm targeting. But my big fish is obviously William Shatner. And we're going to put it on monthly. It's going to air on HCC TV, and then I'm going to make it available on my YouTube channel.
Okay. Cool. Well, that is.
So I'm going to do that.
You heard it here first.
The show is going to primarily be. I'm going to structure it to where I'm in the street doing more stuff, and I just kind of toss to the packages and stuff like that in front of a green screen. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do stuff I think that interests people. I'm going to do stuff about health. I'm going to do stuff about and natural health too, not just popping pills. I'm going to do because some of y'all eating Viagra like they Skittles. And being 60 is not being in a wheelchair. I'll be 55 this year. I'll be 55 in October.
Okay.
Yeah, 5'5". So
You look better than a lot of cats. That's
well, you know what?
6'5".
I look at people like Carl Weathers, and I look at people like Method Man. He's in his 50s like me.
I follow
I look
Method
at
Man
people,
for his
I mean,
I
Method
follow
Man,
people. I think you from what I've learned, you get out of this what you put into this. I'm blessed that God didn't give me no deficiencies when He made me. So if I take care of this, and I'm trying to. I mean, hell, I got a fat ass stomach. I'm trying to bring sexy back. Shit,
I mean,
and
we all
and
are.
I know, but the thing is. Wanting to and doing to are two different things.
Two different things.
And when you can get back in the gym, and I'm trying to get back into doing some things. I'm watching a lot better what I eat. My fiance, she's really
that's the
great
main part.
in helping me with that. Because she's always like, you need to do this, and I'm like, all right.
That eating part is going. I tell people that going to the gym is actually easy. If you can get your ass in the car and actually start driving to the gym, it's over.
Hard.
It's a wrap. No,
That's
it's
hard.
That part is hard, but if you can do it.
But if you come home from work and then you stop whatever you're doing, have to get dressed and blah blah, and then get back in the car, that's hard.
No, that's the hard part. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say this real quick.
What's up?
I got advice for a few friends. Whether you do 1 rep or 100, do something.
Yeah, do
makes
something.
sense.
That's true.
But all of it is a life change.
Yeah.
And then it depends on how serious are you. Like
Right.
like I'm not serious. I mean, I need to get serious. And there are a lot of people that it's a mentality change. Even what did George Clinton say? Free your mind and your ass will follow.
Yeah.
What did Scripture say? There's nothing more powerful than to change your mind. When you change your mindset,
you change
and
the
you
rest
stick
of
to it,
yourself.
then those are things that you do. But you got to be focused, and I'm trying to get my focus.
So that's one of the things I feel like I'm blessed because I'm so sexy, right? And
I can neither
I
confirm or
say-
deny that. But all right.
I'm a
fuck are
deny.
y'all yelling at?
I
don't yell.
Gosh, didn't he just say he
I'm
was
just saying,
sexy?
No, I was saying
I'm
he
looking at
said
the
yelling.
camera. I'm looking at the wide shot.
No, but
I'm just mad because he wanted us
you
to
know what? But
agree
hey, you know what? Then be that. Hell,
That's what I'm saying.
if you don't think you sexy, won't nobody else.
What
Yeah,
nobody
so-
else would, but I'm
But
just
here's the
mad
thing,
that
you
he
know better.
think that we should agree with him.
I don't
I
know.
didn't ask y'all to agree.
I don't know. I'm just saying,
But anyway,
you feel how you
So-
feel however you want to, how the hell you want to feel.
So go back to
Somebody gonna think you're sexy. I
Yeah,
don't know.
somebody is.
You
it's
never
like
know.
6 people, I think.
That's all right.
It's
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
5,
That's
but
okay.
he
But hey, man, you know what?
imaginated
That's 5 more than somebody
5
else got.
more than 0.
Yeah,
The
for
six-
real.
the
And I'm not a
six-
math major, but 5 is more than 0.
Yeah, 5. I gotta keep it simple.
Exactly.
Third
And
grade
you know,
style.
and look, everybody don't want no Megan Thee Stallion, bitch.
So
Everybody don't. She's
Because-
fine, but everybody don't. Look, here's the thing that I've learned, man.
Everybody does.
Is that the older you get, you care more about what's between a woman's ears than what's between her legs.
Absolutely.
Because what's between her ears don't change.
Absolutely.
Everything else changes.
it don't.
Physical appearance
It don't.
changes and all that other stuff. And every woman got the same vagina.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, they have one. They have their own
They got
unique
one, but they
vagina.
ain't all the same.
But no, but
It
at the
seems
end
like
of,
y'all share it.
but at the end of the day, it's just kind of you gotta. The hardest part is just getting along with somebody.
Yeah,
And if you
that
can-
is truly
And if
the
you can
hardest
get on the
part.
same page with somebody, then then that's fine. It don't matter how pretty you are. Shit,
Peace.
people that cheated on Halle Berry.
so what do you do now?
So I work. I still do television production.
Okay.
And and I enjoy it.
Is
you
there
know?
any type of advice you can, if we're very green in what we're doing, is there any type of advice that you can impart with us as far as getting us how we set up for a particular interview, how we conduct it, anything like that? Or is it always, so we were talking about this earlier, I was talking about with Kev for the show, that when I start editing, then I said, okay, this is wrong, have a visual. Is there anything better than the actual process of doing it and fucking it up and learning?
What works for me is just being honest. I've been doing it long enough, working at ABC, working at CBS. I had to be creative under a deadline, because we were doing news, and it was just balls to the wall. Look, this is the track. Gina Gaston gave me a track. Let me drop it on my timeline. Let me put in the sound bites, and then let me do that. Huh?
Gina Gaston was on
Gaston.
there too?
Gina Gaston's still on ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Well,
still there.
I'm just saying.
She was there. I just left ABC maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that was my second stint there. I did 14 and a half years at CBS, the local affiliate here. And then before that, I was actually at ABC for 2 years, and I was doing that part-time while I was working at Channel 51. We had an all-news channel here, which was over off of West Park, so I was doing that full-time.
Okay.
So, my advice would be just be yourself, man. Be yourself, and don't, know who you are. I mean, when Mary Waits told me that and I finally figured it out, I hug her every time I see her because she made me better. She, I thought it was shit talking, but I had to mature.
She gave you that gem that you needed.
She did, and it gave me focus because, when I'm on the radio and I got to come on before Lester Surpace, or, it's just kind of like, damn, I can't be half-ass, I want people to listen to me as well and stuff like that. So what I did was I said, well, who do I like that's a disc jockey? Because I owned, when I got on a Kids Jam, I owned 7 records to my name that my Aunt Veronica bought me at the Park Shopping Mall, which I later wound up working at years later in college. But I said, okay, I saw Sly and the Family Stone. I saw Sly, right? And I saw him on air, and he was just so damn cool, with what how he talked and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then Wolfman Jack, I loved Wolfman Jack. He had this crazy voice, hey, it's Wolfman Jack, but the thing I liked about him was the command that he had of the radio station. I mean, he was just kind of like, somebody called him, he was like, who's on the Wolfman's phone? I mean, and it was just.
He brought that energy.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted. I said, you know what? I ain't Lester Pace, and that's cool. But what I'm going to do is my agenda, I'll come in with an agenda every Saturday. I'm going to entertain, I'm going to educate, and I'm going to play your damn record, and I'm going to get off the air. That's what I'm going to do. Well, as evolution came, Lester got a job at KISS. So they hired him, and then Tammy, went off to college, and now she works for Stevie Wonder's radio station in California. Oh, wow. So she was gone, and then so they moved all of us back in. So then Ice became the primary guy, right? And then when Ice got hired at the box, well, guess what? Then, Marcus Love had to do 3 to 4. And then she had me doing 1 to 3. And then, it was just like they brought in Michelle Milton. They brought in, Rashanique. They brought in different people. Deron Sams was a part of it. And then, hell, even Deron Sams got a job over at the box. He was Chunky D. I was like, that's the shittiest name.
I know.
Because if you ever see Deron, Deron is a muscle dude, right? Yeah. Right. Deron ain't like no fat ass.
Yeah. I was like, wow. What?
No,
how does
Deron,
that go?
to this day, Deron's in his 50s, and Deron look good, man. He's always been a health conscious type of dude, right? But he was gone, and so that spot needed to be filled. And then Stevie C comes in with the car wash mix, and and we just kind of redevelop ourselves, man, and grow. And then when they had a meeting and told us they wasn't gonna do it no more, we was like, we tried to fight for it. We said, okay, cool. They said they were moving it to Friday nights, and at that time, my life revolved around Saturday. I couldn't have no fist fight with my kid's mom about Friday. That was when she got her hair done and did all this other stuff. And
it's a routine.
Well, exactly. And I was just kind of like, well, again, everything has an expiration date. So maybe that was it. I quit doing that and focused more on television, did that, and, and doing what I do right now. So everything has an expiration date, but I'm blessed and I'm grateful. And I don't hate George for doing that. It was just a bad decision, and then the people around just didn't understand. And then when you get to a place where the radio station was always like a family atmosphere for us, right? We would go up there and we would hang out, you know, and we would talk with people and stuff like that. And they became our family, you know? Right. And so, you know, and in my life, I have like maybe 5 or 6 circles, right? And every year my circle gets smaller and smaller, but I got people, you know, I've got a TV circle, I got a radio circle, I've got
the people in your life they carry a big.
Yeah, they do. But I mean, but as you move forward in your life, you know, people lose value. Sometimes people only in your life for a couple of seasons. Sometimes they're in there for 3. You know, everybody's not designed to go the whole way with you. So, I mean, you just kind of deal with it. The dynamic of the station changed. And when new management took over, there was no family atmosphere. And it was just kind of like, you know.
What do you
It's just
do
a
now?
place.
Yeah, you know, it was no reason. I saw that starting to happen, and then, you know, different people have their different agendas on how they want to run it and things of that nature. And I knew what it was. So, it was, you know, I mean, they've asked me 3 times if I was interested in coming back, and I was just kind of like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, I'm good. And it's not that, you know, that I feel like they're beneath me. It's just that it's not the same family atmosphere. Yeah. And I don't want to.
You've moved beyond
I don't want.
that.
I've moved. Yeah. I mean, that was that's what I needed at that particular time. And now, you know, I've moved on to other things, because you got to be in a situation where you can be taught. You know, and there was people coming in there.
A lot of people don't want to be in that situation.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But I mean, but if you want to get better, you can. You know, I learned a long time ago. I heard this. William Harris said this. He was the president of TSU at the time I graduated in May of '90. And he said, there's no such thing as a self-made man. Everybody always had some type of help. And that's been my life. You know, greatest thing I'm proud of are my kids. And hell, I couldn't have them without their mama. You know, I couldn't, you know, the success that I've had in radio, I didn't do that by myself, you know.
And that's what we're trying to create here, trying to get the right group of people, just the whole building.
Well, you started off wrong.
What the what?
No, you know what? Then do that. Cultivate that.
And I'm like
Cultivate that.
What are we doing?
No, I'm just saying. No, cultivate it. I mean, you know. Listen, everybody. Look, Destiny's Child. You know, started off one way and ended up another way. Now they ain't no way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I mean, everything has a time. And, you know, just utilize what you have. What works for you? Find out what works for you. It's a million of these damn podcasts on, you know, that you can pull up. What's going to make yours unique? Now, some people kind of cheat, and maybe they have some fanfare or some popularity that goes with them, right? Yeah. If you're a comedian, you know, you got your little pocket of people.
Yeah.
If you're on television, if you used to be a rapper or whatever, you know, that can work for you. But even then, you still have to come. I mean, I love T.I.'s podcast. You know, what makes him unique is he is an intelligent man. He ain't no dumbass. He's an intelligent man. Yeah. He asks intelligent questions, and you know, and he doesn't go beyond his perspective. You know, I mean, and I love his interviews. I like watching. Because when people respect you, you know, they'll be candid with you. You know, if people feel comfortable, they'll be candid with you. They won't give you, you know, they won't give you a lot of typical answers. They'll give you real talk, man. And that's what I do. You know, I've always been this person. I'm like, look, give it to me straight. You know, I'm blunt. I'm honest. I just
the only way I'm gonna fix it, or the only way I'm gonna get better, is if you just be honest.
Exactly. If you just tell me what it is, you know, if you don't like me, then that's cool. You know, everybody didn't like Jesus. Everybody's not gonna like me. I rub people the wrong. Sometimes I might be moody. I might rub people the wrong way. But what I try to do is I try to treat people how I want to be treated, and I try my best not to make emotional decisions. That's what I try to do, and I try to be straight up with people. And you know, sometimes people won't fool with you for whatever reason, and I'm cool with that.
That's their reason.
Well, but you know what? But that's okay. That's okay. You know, I'm an acquired taste. You know, everybody ain't gonna like me.
Oh, I dig
you. Know,
man.
I'm an acquired taste, and so you know, everybody's not gonna do that. I'm not. You know, I'm humble when I need to be humble, and you know, and I'm cordial when I need to be cordial. But I mean, if you tell me some stupid shit, I'm gonna look at you like you stupid.
Like you stupid.
You know, I'm like, no,
it's a natural reaction.
Exactly. I'm just kind of like, no, man, and you know. That's it. My only advice would be, you know, stay true to yourself. Research whenever I do interviews and stuff like that. Like if I get this interview with William Shatner, I'm already have my questions ready, and I'm not gonna ask no dumbass questions to him. This man is 90 years old. He's
seen it all.
He's a superstar.
Seen it, done
you think about this. You know, Star Trek debuted 55 years ago.
Damn.
Wow.
55, and
55.
and listen. And since and it was only 3 seasons,
Wait, is that it?
Really?
It was only 3 seasons, and every year since then, it's been in some form of syndication.
hold on.
So think about
How
this. This
many
is a program that's
episodes
been
per
on
season, though?
55 years.
So they've been running 3 seasons of the same.
Bro,
thing
you've been
for
looking at 3 seasons.
So would they the interracial
Yes.
kiss with
Batgirl. How about
He
that?
did get with the black lady that's on
You know?
there.
Yeah,
Uhura, yeah.
Uhura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nicole Nichols, yeah.
that was like the 3rd season or something like
Dude,
that.
it started in, when did it start? It started in 68, and they did 3 seasons. And after those 3 seasons, they canceled it.
I thought it was 5.
No, it was 3. It was a hot 3.
I think it stopped and then they did movie.
Well, it did, yeah. After a while, it stopped, and then after a while, but they did the movies in the
That's
80s,
amazing.
Yeah.
I had no
You're
idea.
talking about a
I
10-year
never
gap.
heard of that
Yeah.
before.
though, because they ended in 69. They didn't do it. I don't think they did a season in 70. So you're talking from 70 to 80s, right? That's
Yeah.
when they started.
That's
and then
a
they started, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, people still like
time.
this shit." Then they kept doing the movies. Then they started the Next Generation.
So that's why it feels so long.
Yeah, syndication will do that.
Wow.
All right. Well, before we end all this, is anything y'all want to ask in particular?
I'm still 3 seasons.
I fucked him up. with 3 seasons. I'm gonna tell you, my grandfather got me interested in sci-fi, and he used to watch it, every night, right? And so me growing up as a kid, I was born in '68, so me growing up as a kid, I mean, I watched it,
Yeah.
and I got hooked on it, and and then I, as I grew older, I got jobs and stuff like that. I wanted to bless him with different stuff. So when he was kind of a technology, he liked playing with new technology. So when I got my job at Sound Warehouse back in '88, the advent of CDs just came out, right? So and DVDs were a big thing. So what I did, and then they started doing the packaged, seasoned DVDs. And so I bought him like a season of Star Trek. I bought him like a season of Gunsmoke. That was his shit, Gunsmoke.
Hell yeah.
That's my mama's stuff right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would try to do that. And then, you learn in the process. When I started working at Channel 51, we tried to get Star Trek.
Man, you were at Channel 51
I was Channel 51.
too?
And so
Have you heard of
I
Channel
went to
51?
Channel.
wait a
it was Houston's all news channel.
all
It was
news
around for
channel.
maybe 5 years. And then
Really?
it went under.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a job there in 2000.
But
Was it
y'all
2000?
aired all
2000.
the great
I got
football
that
games.
job in 85 and 95. 95.
I did Channel 51 because I ran track. Because Channel 51 used
You were
to
on
put
it,
on,
or you were?
No, I did it for like 3 months, and I did an internship there. And I only got on it because I ran track, and they used to put all the local
Games.
track.
Todd Freed.
Track.
Remember his name?
All the
Todd
districts, all the
Yeah.
all the
But you
district
remember
runs and
they
everything.
did the big Friday football game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had
but
a
used to put
Friday
all the
football
all
show.
the
Yeah.
all the sports.
They did that, yeah.
They used to put
Because
on
to get-
Channel 51.
Yeah.
To get big team,
That's
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, big teams.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
they
can't
used to
find
put
it. It's
all
on
the-
51.
They used to put all the Channel 51s on there, and we used to
It's
have
crazy
to go
people don't
in.
even do that anymore. It's
No,
stupid.
Miss Isom, Vivian
know.
Isom from Jackie A's High School. It was Vivian Isom. She was neighbors with what was
She
his
had black.
name? Yeah, the guy that died.
There's a few of them.
He was from the Bronx. I forget his name, but I forget his name. But she was his neighbor, Vivian Isom. She was SOC coordinator at the time at Jackie's High School, and that's where I went. So School of Communications, and she put me on. She was like, "Oh, you ran track, blah blah blah, whatever. So you need to do this." So I used to go out and film some of the track meets and everything. Even though I ran track, she used to have me field the track, the volleyball, the basketball, and stuff like that, and put it on for Channel 51. So when I did Channel 51, I did it for like 6 months, and it was amazing. It was really fun because all of the districts, all of the schools, all of the areas, everything, you would have to film these people, and everybody would try to get on of TV, of whatever. So we would have to edit.
They did a wonderful job. It was a producer there named Alan Litvak. And then they put together a show. Todd Freed kind of took over the reins of that.
I remember Todd Freed.
And they were real big, and it made sense because you're not gonna come in and knock out the NBC affiliate.
No.
Channel 2's not going anywhere. Channel 11's not, and neither is 13. And 26 really wasn't all that then.
No, it
26
wasn't.
wasn't.
No.
26 wasn't shit till they got
Wasn't
NFL
shit.
football.
I ain't gonna even lie.
That's
It
when they
wasn't
got
shit.
it. You know, that's when their network took off. So, you know, Trent, I love that station, and you know, I learned a lot of stuff there. But the problem was, you know, they felt nobody was looking at news, you know, and then they could have turned into a sports channel, and I felt that could have worked. But then by that time, you know, they had offered me a job. Well, I'd started working part-time at ABC, and then CBS offered me a full-time job. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I got to take this full-time job.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all have anything you
Oh
wanna
yeah, I
add?
was gonna ask before we go. What, like, I heard you speak about getting into film. Like, what is your next projects, or what are you doing forward from here?
I got some things I'm in development
shall we
right
look
now.
forward to?
So I ain't telling right now.
I got you.
I'm in
Oh, my
development.
gosh.
You know, oh no, you don't. No, let me tell you something.
Never
You
tell.
don't raise your dress up before the end of the night.
Oh.
You know, so I got some things
people
I'm working
do.
on. Well, I don't. You know, I don't. You know,
I appreciate the
don't.
people that do.
I don't. You know, I don't. No. It's just, you know, what you want to do is, you know, and you know, my fiance is on my butt about this all the time. Keep your mouth shut, and you know, and let them see you more than they hear you. Steve Harvey told me one time, let people see your light as opposed to hear your siren. You know, and that's what I do. Anytime you have a project, until it's done and
Yeah,
you've got everything
yeah.
completed and everything, because somebody might look at this. You don't know who's gonna look at this. Somebody might
and
say,
take it.
"Oh yeah, well let me try that," and let me tell you something.
right,
The
right.
world is not short of thieves. But I promise you, if y'all invite me back when I get the projects and the show together, man, I'll definitely come back.
Also,
hang out with
any
you guys.
social media things?
I don't do a lot. I do Facebook, Parish Murphy, and I do Instagram too. That's all I do right
That's
now.
all I got.
I
So
will
we're-
branch
we're-
off.
we're in the same boat.
At some
Yeah.
point,
All
I'm
of
gonna
us
have to
are, I
branch off
think.
and do some other things. But right now, you know, I ain't got no damn dance routine. I ain't doing
Time and effort. That's
I
a lot.
I don't dance. I DJ.
Yeah.
I do my little thing behind the board, and then that's it, you know. But my thing is make you dance. That's what
Do
I
you
do.
still did? You know what? That's so funny. That must be a thing with you guys DJs, because I always used to tell my brother, "Man, you can't dance." He's like, "I don't dance. I make other people
Exactly.
dance."
That's what we do.
People
We make
dance.
you
Yeah.
dance.
They
He
got
make
the
other
DJ
people dance.
two-step.
Absolutely. That's it.
And that's it. He
That's
didn't
it.
even have a two-step. He just
That's
had
it.
a.
Lady asked me one time, we were Stevie and I were at the bridal extravaganza, and so we were partnering together to try to solicit, you know, some stuff from the bridal extravaganza. And this woman asked us, she said, "So what's different from you than the dancing DJs?" It was like two Hispanic cats, and they
Bless
had
their
dance
heart.
routines and all that other
Yeah.
stuff. And I said, "Well, let me ask you a question." I said, "What do you want people to remember about your wedding? The dancing DJs or
Or
that they
you.
had a good time?"
Yeah,
Or you?
exactly.
You know, see, I get it. Like, I
Exactly.
get what weddings are. You're the queen. This is your day. Dude
Don't
really don't give a
remember
damn.
me.
But it's your day. You know, I mean, and I need to make you look like the queen. You know,
Yeah, because dudes really don't give a shit.
and they don't give a shit. Just kind of like, you know,
They're
We
just like,
doing it-
I
we doing
showed
it for
up,
y'all.
I
I'm
did my
here,
part.
You know, the cake. You know,
I bought
my
her the
cake look
ring.
eye. You
Yeah.
know, just you know,
I
they don't
bought her
really
the-
care.
And normally you get a
it's a
cake
party
that's
for
off to the
everybody else.
side. and
Exactly.
It's a German
You got a
chocolate cake or
Cavassier
something
cake.
like.
You got a Hennessy cake, and
Yeah,
she got
that's
this.
it.
She got this 5-layer cake with, you know, each layer it's a different black motherfucker that's sexy. You know, it's like, you know, it's like Idris Elba on the 3rd layer, and you know, Michael Jai White on the 5th layer, and Denzel at the top. You know, so yeah, I get it. You know,
Mel,
I
do you have
absolutely get it.
anything that you want to ask before we wrap it up?
No, I think I gave everything. Yeah, I think I gave everything to you. And I said,
I can't give y'all nothing else but a blood sample and a urine sample. That's all I can do.
That's
You've
it.
given
No,
us
really,
a lot.
Please don't do that.
I know, and I don't sell P no more. I used to. Hey man, let me tell you.
Back in the day.
Don't
Say that. I don't want to say that.
I'll say-
no.
I'll say this.
That has bold implications. I don't want to say that. I don't want
say this.
to. I don't want to put that in the
They
street.
got the synthetic urine now. so-
Exactly. I don't want nobody getting their bold implications forfeited.
Please don't.
I'm good. Zip, snap, and dry.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. This
Yeah.
has been another episode, the
Oh,
second
man.
episode of the Social Drinkers Podcast. And
yes.
today we have...
How about that?
Paris Murphy.
How about
and who
that?
else we got?
Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest.
Who else we got?
We got Melanie.
And who else we got?
We got
We got Kev Taylor, KT.
And we got Sean P.
Yes.
And so that's been another episode. As always, I want you guys to like,
Yes.
subscribe.
Hit that like button.
Leave a comment of something that you might want to see going forward.
Leave a comment because they'll read them.
Oh man, Will.
And we truly appreciate you,
Heck yeah.
Paris.
Thank y'all for having me. It's cool, man.
You've given some gems, and you've given some very great insight and backstory.
And good advice.
Yes, a backstory to KTSU and everybody, and we shout out to all of you good guys and the ones that are still doing it and the ones that are still trying to do it.
I'm blessed to be a blessing. You know, God don't bless you to have stuff. You know, He blesses you to bless other people. So that's what I do. You know.
Yes.
Of course, when I get big, I ain't gonna never be on this damn show again. You know, I'm just.
So what we
The
gonna do?
lies you tell.
I'll be like, who?
I did what now?
What?
We'll bring the cameras to him.
Yeah, we're going to his house. I know he stayed Paris.
See, I'm like,
Nah, but
no, thank y'all for having me. Though, really, I really appreciate it.
Appreciate
Great.
you having me.
Thank you.
All right, y'all.
Y'all know what we do. Peace.